Hey guys, welcome. Hat chat number 29. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys know that I typically reserve these hat chats for special guests. Any kind of live stream that doesn't really fit into our Hat Tuesday and Fedora Friday, live series. And today I'm still waiting on Kevin to show up for the live stream. But yeah, we have Kevin Washington is scheduled to show up for the Hat Chat, and then we'll give a little bit of chance to get to know Kevin. Again, if any of you guys ever want to show up for these live streams, you got to want to come on the show. You don't have to be a hatter. You don't have to be even a hat aficionado. You could just be somebody that's curious about hats. And we got my man Ian. Ian, how you doing? Hopefully all is well over on your side in the UK across the pond. Ian, one of my faithful moderators. Good, always good seeing you, Ian. And then we'll see here. We'll wait for Kevin to show up. Hopefully, he's not having technical difficulties. Kevin, if you're watching this and you're having technical difficulties, just drop me a line, and I'll do a little stall job. For in the meantime, I'm still waiting on Roger. Roger, I believe Roger Stewart. I'm still waiting on you, Roger, to show up and stake your claim to the Fedora giveaway. If I don't hear from you, unfortunately, by today, I'll go and I'll select a new winner on Monday. Tomorrow morning, that is, right? So I think I have to kind of keep it moving. So hopefully that all is well. We got Morgan. Morgan, how you doing? My other faithful moderator in the chat room. Always good to see you, Morgan. We got Nettie. Nettie was actually the original winner of our Fedora. The Fedora didn't fit Nettie's head, and she went and said, bless somebody else with the Fedora. So that was really kind of her. So Roger, Nettie passed the torch to you. So we'll see if we can get a response from you soon. Yeah, we got that little bit of a hat chat high going. Again, it was really fun. I think we're up to like 117 subscribers now. Wow, way more than I could have ever hoped to imagine. At this juncture in the live series. So hopefully you guys are having a great week. For me, I've been still concentrating on my weight loss. Yeah, we got hello Morgan. We got Nettie saying yay. That's awesome. Hopefully you guys are all having a great week. Wow, it's already February, right? February 1st. So that kind of already shows you how time flies. It feels like we just rang in to 2026. And we got my man Josh in the chat. Josh, welcome. Always good to see you. I've been really enjoying your live streams lately. So keep that going. Yeah, Josh. We got Nettie saying hi, Morgan. Yeah, I love this. Hopefully, Kevin's still trying to get his way onto the stream. I have no idea. Every time somebody new comes on, it's always kind of a guessing game in terms of technology. I try to give a little bit of a heads up. Josh says, "Oh, awesome, yeah, man." I feel like you've got that extra angle that you're using in your that camera angle, and I really think that's very neat and novel, and kind of shows you that what you're doing behind the tech cord, and as if we didn't already know that. But yeah, I love that. I think it's fun to see the evolution of these other channels, and sometimes it gives ideas. You know what I mean? I'm not a tinkerer, but we do have tinkerers, right? The hat folks that do the restorations, Paul being one of them. I think those ideas are really cool, right? Kind of gives the viewer another angle to kind of see the work that's being done. So yeah, we'll see. Again, still waiting on Kevin. Kevin, it's like hopefully you got everything going, and you'll be able to join us soon. Again, Kevin mentioned that he downloaded the app. I'm not even aware that StreamYard had an app. So hopefully he didn't confuse that. Kevin, you didn't confuse that with a different software. Doesn't mean it doesn't have an app. It might. But most folks, I think, that I invite on here use the browser. I just think that's the easiest way. So if you're having any trouble, Kevin, maybe just click the link and use the browser to get on there. I'm not really a tech person, but we do have Josh and Morgan here. They're a lot more tech savvy than I am, and hopefully they can help get you on here. But yeah, it was really exciting, to see some of the folks that are just viewers. And we got Paul. Paul, my friend.
Hello. I didn't know you were having a Sunday session. So I was watching the TV, having been out with my wife for afternoon tea, and it came up, and I thought, no, it can't be on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But there you are. So I'm not really, dressed for the occasion, as they say, but I have put a hat on.
Well, you have a lovely hat on, and you certainly aren't badly dressed at all. It's funny that you mentioned that, but it's like, I love the hat. You're gonna have to tell us a little bit more about the hat.
Well, I'll tell you what. It was. Do you remember I did that reveal of the Pepsi felts the other week?
Yeah.
I think it was last week, actually. Well, within there, they very kindly put in the 15 felts, there was this black felt that was 80% beaver and 20% rabbit. Now, when you get gifted, obviously I buy a batch of felts, but when you get a surprise to that level, and I think somebody somewhere at FEPSA was probably doing me a favor, I just thought I had to make it into something special. So this is obviously an open road of mine. And it's inside. It's all nicely fettled out, and it's my size. And
I love that.
And I've used my head block that I've got to actually make it so that it fits. Because as you can imagine, this is a 240-gram weight, so very stiff. It will come down at the front actually, and you can. I love these felts because they're so pliable and easy to sort of shape, There's something a little bit, bit of a different look. So hi Morgan.
Yeah, Paul, that looks great. And I don't know if you had a chance to watch the last Fedora Friday, this Friday, where I covered the Tulsa King. And again, regardless of how you feel about Sylvester Stallone, and I know a lot of folks are not big on him, and I can understand why, but that was the show, and specifically season 3, where the main villain in season 3, played by Robert Patrick, who a lot of folks know from Terminator Part 2, he has an open road, and he has several variations. I think he has a tan one and a brown one at least. And I showed a couple photos. Obviously, it was a little tough to find extra photos of the open road, but wow, it's just one of those things where, one, obviously the show is based largely in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You're going to see a lot of Westerns, and they do show a lot of Westerns. But in season 3, they had two surprises, one being the open road by the main villain, played by Jeremiah, whose the character's name is Jeremiah Dunmeyer. And then Stallone himself wears a fedora in the first episode, I believe. I don't think I see him in a fedora throughout the rest of the season, but it was nice because you see the hat tilt, which seems to be a Stallone signature. And then again, the open road, even though I don't own one, seeing them on you, Paul, and obviously seeing a lot of the folks that I interact with on the Fedora Lounge, as well as on Facebook and Instagram, it really, I've come to appreciate that style so much because of what we talked about. Like that, it's that perfect kind of middle of the road between the Western. It's like that bridge between the Western and the traditional fedora. And you gotta love it because it looks good and it's able to manage that.
I think look, I've got that one, and my favorite is probably this one, which is my my go-to, if you like. But it's just so it's just so easy to wear with some jeans. I mean, when you get a bit older like myself, it's wearing a cowboy hat in England is not really the sort of thing, unless you're going to go to a Western sort of country music festival. So this is where you can get by with this, and of course you can put it down and wear it like that. So it's it's a good, they're great hats, and they're not everybody's cup of tea. I get that, but to ring the changes, it's a nice it's a nice change. But so and what did you? Oh, you're a watchman, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I've been out buying
I love it.
watches today. So
Yeah.
I don't know whether I'm taking on your show here, but I've just bought a new Citizen. It's one of the that we can see that there, but it's a
that's
it's
sharp.
a professional diver's watch.
Diver.
It's a titanium, super titanium they call it, but so that's quite a bit of a gift to myself.
I love it.
So that's what I didn't realize I had to back in the.
No worries. Like I said, you guys already know. And again, anything, right? So the whole point of this is not just hats, but anything you're passionate about. I know some of us have passions for cars, guns, watches. Obviously, bourbon, right, would be one that we've uncovered. So we're going to have a show, I believe, on the 10th of March on bourbon. And these are all nuances, right? We all kind of have, some of us share those passions. And, this show goes beyond hats, because sometimes they go together so well, right? Hats and bourbon, hats and watches, hats and guitars, as Kevin kind of showed. There's all these things where we're all kind of, we're more than just our collection of hats. We all have different passions, and some of those overlap. And I love to cover that on the show anytime.
Yeah, it's pouring down with rain over here in the UK at the moment. And
wow.
Yeah, and it's a pain when you've got older cars and they let water in, and so I've had to get some of those dehumidifiers today. So hopefully that will clear up the misting and the problems inside the car, because I can't get them all in a garage. So I have to be selective, and I've obviously chosen the wrong one. But there you go.
Well, at least you have a dive watch just in case it gets too.
That's true. Well, I've got another delivery of Fepsa's tomorrow, so we'll see what comes up from Fepsa then. And you obviously got the list that I sent you, that of the explanation of the X's that they do.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. I love the attention to detail that Fepsa seems to go into. And again, I'm a little bit more ignorant because I don't have the background or the experience in working with the various felt manufacturers. And maybe Robert could opine on that one day in terms of like learning about the person, because what we know in organizational psychology is that organizations have personality, right? They seem to have their own personality, their own kind of image that they're trying to project. And Fepsa seems such a vibrant company, and they're so vibrant, as well as they have attention to detail, at least in my perception, and that just adds to that image.
Well, I sent them the link to the review we did. The reveal of the Felts, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, they were really grateful for what we were doing. So, I mean, I think we've just got to get them on the show and get them to talk more. But I said, look, it'd be lovely to explain the way that they detail their felts, because clearly there's a confusion. Why is there a confusion? Certainly in my mind, there's a confusion in my mind about the different brands and the different X's. And when you see 1,000X on some of the hats, you think, what on earth does that mean? 10 times, a beautiful beaver felt, or is it musk, whatever it is, or chinchilla or something? I don't know. But they've given us the breakdown, and it was really quite a lot of explanation. But with every felt, as I've shown you before, we get one of these tabs that are on there, and then on the reverse we get the description, and they do their felts in like small, medium, large, extra large size, so that you don't actually have to stretch them too much to actually make the size of the hat that you're making. However, I would say that I've stretched a medium through to an extra large before now, so there is a lot of give in their felts. But this was like voodoo language to me before I got that list from them. So it's certainly helping me identify what's what now.
It's that's going to be one of the real wins, is to be able to get some of these organizations, right? We obviously talked about Lock & Co, Fepsa, and the various other kind of more established brands in this in the industry. And I feel like at some point one of them is going to take a chance and say, you know what, we want to come on the show and then talk a little bit about what we do and what makes us different, right? Because I feel like that's the thing that escapes a lot of folks a lot of organizations that sometimes the brand is out there, but there's still like you have the advertisement, because I see now that I'm like connected with Lock & Co, I see a lot of their outreach on Facebook, and it gives me a lot more of a nuance to like their brand identity. And I'm not sure if everybody, right? Because I self-selected myself into that by hitting the like button, and then otherwise I wouldn't see some of those those outreach efforts. And maybe that's kind of maybe one of the levers that we could pull here for some of these brands, where like maybe some of the audience here can find out about Lock & Co, about FEPSA, and some of the other great brands that we've talked about here. And one for me, I'd just be tickled by that.
Well, we'll reach out again to them and see if we can just jog their memory, because they did say they come on after Christmas. But
yeah,
it is amazing when you think that Lock & Co have been going longer than America as a country has existed.
correct.
Well, I guess it's existed, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Going back all those years, I mean, it's 350 odd years old, that shop now. So it's quite something. Well, it is really, when in the UK, if you can run a business for more than 5 years, you're probably about 5% of those people that start businesses.
wow.
That survive after that time. It's something ridiculously.
It's an amazing statistic.
Yeah, it's tough over here. Well, I'm sure it's tough in America as well. But the point being, if you've got something like Lock & Co has been going for so long, that you've got to look at them and think these guys are doing something right. Yeah. And so when people like myself come in, we're an upstart basically coming into their patch, and I think we have a certain respect. I certainly have a very good respect for them. I love buying their hats, as you've had them as well, and it's just lovely to think that they invite us into their premises, and are willing to sort of connect and talk. So for me, that says a lot about the industry and about them as a company.
Agreed. And it's very evident once you step into the shop, right? When just as we did for the event, the Christmas event, and obviously we've had Bancraft Hatters over in Brooklyn. Also, they've been in business for 70 plus years. If I can recall correctly, Steve, pardon me if I misquoted that. But again, that now when you see that number, right, it's like, all right, 350, 70, but that statistic that you mentioned, I got to imagine that that's probably pretty prevalent. If it's not 5%, then I got to imagine it's right around that, probably across the pond our way. And it just goes to show you the power of some of the strategies that are being implemented. And that's the nice thing about learning and interacting with some of these brands, is that you can't help but be able to pick up some of those tips. When you see some of their outreach effort, you're like, okay, maybe that's not exactly what I want to do, but I want to do something. I want to get a little of inspiration from here, a little from there. And that way you build that brand identity. And I think it's a cool thing.
Yeah, I think for myself, I've been going on the journey, as you know. I mean, tell me to stop rambling if you need me to, but I've been going on the journey of looking at packaging, and as you know, I've got one fairly plain box at the moment that I use stickers to actually liven it up a little bit. But I've been talking to a box manufacturer, and it's interesting. I mean, they've spoken to Lock & Co, and Lock & Co went with another supplier, but the type of boxes that are available out there, you can buy boxes from the Far East, but the problem, they cost very little, but the shipping cost, because of the sheer volume of the boxes, is enormous to bring them back into the UK. And so, the minimum order is 500. Shipping them in, I mean, by the time you get them in, there's only a couple of pounds difference between buying 500 over there and buying 500 over here. In fact, I found a supplier that will in fact supply me with 25 boxes. And so when these boxes are quite expensive, 20-30 pounds each, and the space that they take, because they're already made up, they're not flat packed or anything, these boxes, they're well, you've seen the Bates & Co and you've seen the Lock & Co. The Bates & Co is probably a bit better, and that's sort of similar to what I'm putting together. And I had to say to the wife, look, I'm going to take one of the bedrooms. So I've got the study, the dining room, and now one of the bedrooms. So actually two of the bedrooms, because one of the bedrooms is our sewing room. So my wife and I've got all our sewing machines in there. So I'm not going down very well, as you can imagine.
Right.
But the packaging thing is very interesting. But Lock and Co. Wow, can you remember we saw that whole wall in Lock and Co. of their boxes, and
Yeah,
it was just amazing. Those white boxes with the lovely Lock and Co. on them.
correct.
As you walk down towards the museum at the back of the store.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things, and the way I understand them, they're brand new. It's a brand new style that they just came out with, and I don't know if I can recall what their older style looks, but I love it because it looks modern, and you know what I mean. So obviously, that's the I think for a brand as old as Lock and Co, you have that kind of that push and pull of wanting to embrace the heritage, but also being modern, right? For those new folks that like, okay, I'm not a big fan of nostalgia per se. I want something that's hip, that's happening, right? And I think that the new style, it really strikes that balance, right? I think somebody that appreciates the kind of modern, the modern look could appreciate that kind of style, and that's what I love. And again, I'm sure somebody like Lock and Co, they probably have a team of folks dedicated to picking and making those decisions. But yeah, that's when we can benefit from that.
Yeah, as I say, they were an inspiration, them and Bates and others, and Laird. In fact, I think Laird actually used the same people as I'm using to get boxes made. So,
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to take a nod, if you like, to these people. And as you know, I've been very open about where I buy my supplies from, how I do various things around hatting, because I'm really worried, about the quality and the skills that it takes to make a hat, and the quality of hats can continue. And the only way it can continue is with enthusiastic people that are going to learn the skills and carry them on. And I'm not. Well, none of us are getting any younger, but I'm of an age where I've perhaps got 10 more years in me to do the hatting, and during that time, I'd like to think that we can open this up a bit. I mean, I'd love to walk down the street and somebody say, "Hey, you're a guy that," or I'd love to be able to think that in a college or somewhere that they're actually start to teach the hatting trade as opposed to millinery, maybe millinery as well alongside it, because to make a small business work, I think probably the ladies' hats or millinery alongside the hatting needs to exist. But it's interesting. This last weekend, I've been asked to make 2 ladies' hats, albeit out of the felt, and a fedora or a well, in fact, one of them might actually be a festival style hat, but very much lighter, brighter colours for both the grosgrain and the felts themselves. But certainly that would really interest me, actually, because I think that it would be lovely to make hats for ladies as well, and get the his and hers thing going, and just widen the appeal, and even see ladies come into hatting, because whilst it does hurt your wrists a bit when you're pulling down the felts, you're not doing that for very long. Even with the Western felts, it's not too strenuous on your body. So it is something that a lot of ladies are perhaps not as strong as men, and therefore they might be concerned about that. And I belay them and say, no, it's not too much of an issue, but we'll see. We'll see.
Man, I can't wait to see those, Paul, because we've talked about this, I think probably early on, where I noticed in the watch community a trend of a lot of ladies wearing the big watches, right? So you obviously, if you're somebody that's into watches, that there are traditionally bigger dial watches that are traditionally men's watches, and the smaller dials. And I couldn't even tell you what the demarcation point, because that's the thing that has changed, is that a lot of women, right? We have women in the workplace since, at least in the US, in big time since the 70s, right? So a lot of women that are CEOs now, they're having those milestones, right? That in the past have been, they've been the domain of men. That now they're making partner, they're CEOs, and now they don't want the watch that's for the women's watch. They want the big honking watches, and that's kind of put a lot of the industry. I just think it's really cool, and I feel like with the fedoras, we see that trend as well, where a lot of females, again, they are hats, right? We talked about the idea of the ribbon, right? The side of the ribbon being the one of the ways that you can tell, one of the indicators. But I feel like I've been seeing on Facebook in particular, because I'm a member of these various groups, that a lot of females are gravitating towards the hats that are traditionally called guys' hats, right? And I mentioned it before. I cannot wait till I start seeing the women in the Hamburgs, because I think, for me, that Hamburg hat is that Winston Churchill, right? That masculine guy, the Godfather, obviously. But once we start seeing the females gravitate towards some of those Hamburgs, and I remember, I know that the one hat, this red DeBarge hat, that gets a lot of attention when I wear that hat from the females. And well, who says that a Hamburg can't be in red either, right?
I've got one in burgundy. I mean, the thing is that I think the ladies have really got an opportunity, because as we know, there's an awful lot of older hats out there that are vintage, that because men had much smaller hats 50, 60, 70 years ago, it makes it quite challenging for people my size to be able to take advantage and wear those hats. However, there are some beautiful Borsalinos and an American brand hats that are really, really lovely and soft and great styles that actually ladies could buy, or anybody could buy, change if they wanted to, change the side that the bow is on the ribbon, put some jazzy colors, basically reconstruct it to take it into a real fun color and a female hats. Now, I've not seen that done yet, and it might be because the older hats, a lot of them were in fairly basic colors, gray, black, blue, and ladies do tend, or at least the ones that I've spoken to so far, which haven't been many, but they want teal and pinks and these other bright colors, which of course are lovely, but not necessarily something that was done years ago. Although in saying that, I did have a 1960s Borsalino that was a beautiful teal color. In fact, I sold that to a gentleman in Norway, I think it went to in the end.
Wow.
You just don't know, but it'll be interesting. But I think we'll see how the market goes for me.
It reminds me of like Kevin's mint green sky piece, right? That's a color, and again, I don't know if that was something that was deliberate. I just think that Kevin really liked that color, but I think it's such an interesting color because I think it has equal attraction to those folks on to either, right, to males and females. It's one of those like it's out there, right? And you mentioned teal, and that's not that far off from that mint green. At least I'm hoping I got the color right, but that mint green is
it's this one. It's I think Kevin, I can't remember what he told me or whether I watched it on one of his channels, but I think his Borsalino was given to him by Borsalino, by one of their representatives.
Wow,
and it's a beautiful hat, isn't it? And a lovely wide brim on it, and it really sits nicely. But that's the teal.
I love that. I love it.
100% beaver. It's quite a nice hat, but you've got to be in a certain mood, or you can't really wear that. Well, I couldn't wear that out in the winter time. It wouldn't be right. So I was going to an event with a similar color jumper or jacket on, but I love this, and I'd love to make more vibrant colors like this. I did make a pink festival hat recently, and I thought that was going to go to a young lady. I thought that was my intros into that, and actually a gentleman bought it, and he's now commissioned 2 more hats from me on the strength of the quality and the fact that he really liked wearing that hat. And I thought, wow, amazing. You just never know.
Yeah, I love it. And you mentioned the festival hat because I went on Friday, and I shared this on Facebook. I went out to a concert, right? So it's a local band that's really popular. Shout out to the Collective. They were at a local bar, just like they're usually appearing in various areas. And I went out. It was a theme of a winter whiteout party, right? So the idea was come in and dressed all white. So that gave me a perfect opportunity to get my white pair of pants, a white shirt, and then the snowflake hat that Brian Forbes made, right?
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful.
I had no idea that would ever come on. When I saw this hat, I bought it because it was striking to me. And sure enough, I was like, yes, white parties are a thing. I've seen them a lot more on the Facebook groups where folks will say, and they'll show photos of them going to a white party. I've never been to one. And then it was nice to be prepared with a hat.
No, that's gorgeous. In fact, I've got one white felt, and I've been thinking, what on earth do I do with a white felt? Because when you wear a white hat, I mean, goodness, it's going to get dirty, or does it? I mean, I don't know what your experience has been, but maybe as soon as you get it home, you brush it and wipe it off and do whatever, and it's all okay. So
for me, I justify it this way, and please don't follow my example, right? Snow is something that starts off white, but doesn't end up being white, right? So, I mean, for me, if I get too obsessive with, and I guess that's the beauty of vintage hats, right? It's like buying a well-used car, right? You still love the car. It doesn't mean you go and trash the car, but it's already probably coming already with some dings in it, right? So when you buy a vintage hat, for me, when I see the imperfections, I think of it as kind of like character, right? You start thinking of, right, if you don't know the actual story, you start filling in the story. I've talked about that on the channel. And for me, I think that's yet another benefit of buying vintage as opposed to buying new, right? Like, it doesn't mean I've bought both, right? I've done new and I've done vintage. But the extra pull for me with vintage is that if it comes with some nicks, with some scratches, with some marks, and then obviously as you wear them, they'll develop their own marks. I guess it doesn't bother me as much. And again, I tell you, I try to take care of my hats, but because of the sheer number of them, I won't be able to give them each the amount of care that I would if I only had a few. So if all you guys that need an extra or an extra nudge, you don't have to be overly, right? It doesn't mean you want to abuse the hats, but they're pretty sturdy. They can take a little bit of I won't say abuse, but just a little bit of use. Let's just call it use instead of abuse, because I don't like the.
I think you're right. I mean, look, you've seen the some of the states of hats that have come to me. I've then restored them, and honestly, the quality of the felts that we had, 40, 50 or more years ago, they're just stunningly lovely. And to have lasted the time that they have, and then come back to the way that they can look once you've cleaned and steamed, and and obviously a little bit of care and attention, and you can get a lot more wear out of them.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that I get Paul's, because if you see that teal fedora and you want to get actually rehome that fedora away from Paul, you can find his website here. Obviously, you can find him on Instagram as well as Facebook. It's great that now that we have Nathan part of the network, we have another customer here. That way, it's not just me singing all the praises. Nathan can come here as another customer of Paul's and kind of sing his praises, because again, Paul, I love the fact that Paul he loves the traditional fedora, but he loves hats so much that he makes these various styles in out there colors. And he's always refining his craft. And like I said, I think that teal fedora is another example, right, of what you're willing to do and what you're capable of doing. And you got to love that as somebody that loves hats.
Thank you. It's just fun. It's just fun. I'm not quite sure how to take that, but yeah, I'll take it.
Hey, I mean, Paul literally is an apostle. Our Paul may not be an apostle, but he does have great qualities as well. Right? So we got to love all the Pauls. Zvanko, I'm gonna just call you Zvanko. Zvanko, welcome back. Zvanko joined us on Fedora Friday, I believe, for the first time. Maybe it was the second time.
Right.
I don't know where Zvanko is from, but Zvanko obviously is, I believe, from one of the European countries. I guessed Poland. Ian guessed another country. I can't remember where Ian guessed, but I trust Ian because Ian seems to have a grasp on a lot of things way better than I do. But it's always nice to see the new viewers, especially those that interact. Well, Paul, I'll tell you, I mean, we did this show with the expectation of seeing Kevin and meeting Kevin Washington. Kevin has not shown up yet. I don't know if Kevin had technical difficulties, but Yeah, it happens. You know what I mean? So Kevin, if you're
Yeah.
watching this, reach out. You don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Maybe you could join us on a hat chat at some point. But it was nice still to be able to go and do kind of a Sunday hat chat episode because, well, sometimes you want to have that. Oh, Serbia. All right.
Serbia. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Excellent. Well, shout out to Serbia. And again, Zvanko, I think Ian's usually pretty good. I'm going to trust that. But
Serbia.
yeah, you got it. My man Ian, love it. Ian is, like I said, I think Ian, one of the many pulls of Ian, besides having such a winning smile and look, is his knowledge. You know what I mean? Croatia. Yeah. Shout out to Croatia. You know, I love Croatia. I've only been to Split, Croatia, but I got to tell you, I've talked about it. My hat journey began in Split, Croatia, right? I don't know what it was. I was there in a couple years ago, and I just was taken aback by the culture, by the people, by the food. And I just felt like I need to have a hat on. That's when I bought the blue straw that I keep talking about ad nauseum. And it's funny. It's like Croatia will always have my heart, if only for that reason alone. But there's so much more. I can't wait to go back. So yeah, neighbor's apology. No worries, Ian. You did great. Awesome. Petar Kresimir Bradvu. All right. Well, I'm guessing that's your name, but Petar, if that's your name, welcome. Again, it's nice to see more folks on the channel. Again, we welcome everybody from all over the world, right? We've already got folks from the UK. We've got Wales represented. That's why I kind of started shifting these episodes towards 1 p.m. because I know that at 1 p.m., well, at least Paul's is right around 6 p.m. Paul and Ian are 6 p.m. And maybe those folks that are a little further out, it's not so late for them, as well as being late enough for those folks maybe on the U.S. on the East Coast. On the West Coast to be able to tune in. So hopefully if you guys can give me some feedback on that time slot, not just your viewers, but also my board of directors, if the time slot works for you guys, hopefully it does. But yeah, it's been a tremendous Sunday. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your week. I apologize. Hopefully I didn't set up Kevin to fail here for not showing up. It's been known to happen, I tell you that much. Ian says, I've been to Croatia to perform a few times. Beautiful and friendly country. I completely agree. Just like a lot of countries, but I got to tell you, even more so, I saw it in Croatia. When you speak a little bit of the language and you show a little bit of that effort, they reward you so handsomely with great food and great drinks, as well as that friendly smile that like they acknowledge that. And I've seen that throughout my travels, but I think Croatia was very pronounced. So shout out to Croatia. I can't wait to go back there. I got, there's so many places I want to visit. And, when I know that there's a viewer there, then it just makes it that much more special. But yeah, Paul, anything else you wanted to kind of share with the audience for today?
Oh, I'll tell you what, I had a customer that bought a hat from me about 2 years ago, I think it was now. He got back in contact, and he's got a wedding. I think it's his daughter's. I'm pretty sure it's his daughter's wedding, actually, later on the year. He sent me a picture of a pair of shoes and said, "Can you match?" He sent me a picture of one of my hats, and a pair of shoes, and he said, "I want that hat in that color." And he said, "And I'll send you." He's bought one of these cravats of a bright color. He said, "I'm going to send you a picture of the cravats, and I want the grosgrain to match the cravat." So there you go, very color coordinated. With his felt with his shoes and his grosgrain trim with his cravats. And I thought, yep, you've got it going on.
What a challenge, right? I mean, and you see that on Facebook and on the Fedora Lounge a lot, where and we've talked about this before when we talked about hat etiquette in a lot of the churches, especially here in the U.S. in the South, the Southern churches, where people will dress up in their what we call their Sunday best, right? And I'm sure it's not just here, but I'm just speaking in terms of my knowledge of here in the U.S. They'll dress in their Sunday best, and a lot of it is a suit and sometimes a matching fedora. and it's lovely to see that, like, because it just shows you that a level of effort that people go into to kind of look good, right?
Yeah.
And I think that for a hatter has got to be an interesting challenge, right?
Yes.
I got to think that maybe the internet helps a little bit out. Maybe if you get a photo, maybe you can put it into like an AI bot or something to kind of give you maybe a color code. I have no idea.
Look, I've got my color swatches from FEPSA now, as you saw in the last show. So
yeah,
well, in the last but one show, and I'll use that and have some fun. But I thought that's lovely that people are thinking that way.
yeah,
You know, that and I think as custom hatters, bespoke hatters, you know, that's the nice thing to do, because you can't buy that in a shop.
yeah.
You know, you have to have it made, and it's that little bit of detail that will you know, be lovely at the wedding. It'd be lovely. So yeah, I felt quite honored for that.
Yeah, I love that. And it makes sense. I think that's something that you might see more often, because I think of, like, we talked about the idea of suits and somebody being like, obviously not just women are into shoes. Guys will spend a lot of money for a nice custom pair of shoes. And if you have a favorite suit or a favorite pair of shoes, it makes sense that if you want to get a hat and you want to have something that's going to go along with that suit and or shoes.
No, lovely.
Yeah. Well, Paul, you're gonna have to share some of that in photos, and to the degree that you want to, because I'm sure a lot of folks will want to see the outcome of that, and I'm sure it'll probably be a video.
Well, do you remember we were talking about how I think that the future of hatting for us smaller single, you know, or you know, small number of employee businesses, it's more about the hat experience.
Yeah.
So, you know, whereas you can go into a shop and you can buy a very nice hat off the shelf, it might not fit exactly, but it can be still a very nice hat, albeit at a price.
Yeah.
But by coming to somebody like myself and Kevin and Brian and of course Rob, you know, we can make other things happen. You know, out of various colours of the felts and all the different accoutrements. In fact, I'll tell you what was really interesting was when I still was talking with Nathan. We were talking about the metal badges, and I think that Kevin's made some for his hats, and I've been looking at them in the UK for getting some. I've got a little bird, a multicoloured bird that I use as my logo, as well as my other logos. So I've got a couple of logos that sort of sit well. And because I wanted something that would appeal to men and to women, so I'm trying to get that into the multicolour enamel as a little pin that will go on the center of the bow on a hat. I just think it'd be quite nice. So yeah, I think that's great. Yeah.
I love it, man. It's awesome to watch the like I said, the evolution of your brand, Paul. And you know, it's one of those things where I think that's, you know, that when I hear like Nathan talk about it, and Nathan, I don't know if you've seen some of the some of his photos on the Facebook groups, but man, the reception, I tell you, to the hats that you made for Nathan, I think you're gonna be a very busy man, Paul, I think.
Well, that would be nice. I mean, look, I love making them, as you know, and you know, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know Nathan's not on here today, good, but it's been an absolute pleasure going through the process with Nathan, because he's contributed, I've contributed, and then we've got something that clearly the marketplace thinks is quite nice. Now, that's lovely. There's nothing more that you can get really as a hatter than compliments for something that is slightly different to the norm, and it brings a smile on somebody's face. I mean, how good is that? And I mean, he obviously likes wearing them, and he supports Kevin very, very very much, and he's got a whole range of his. So you know, it's great. We can all sit together, and you know, and Nathan's certainly got a collection of hats. I'm not sure how many, but I think he has said before, but I won't repeat it. Yeah, it's quite a lot. Yeah.
I think he might have dropped the number, but I don't want to misquote him. But he has a decent number of hats. He's not without hats or choices per se.
He loves the fact that his head size is exactly the same as mine. So do you remember he had that Stratoliner that I made for myself? I even forgot that I had it. I mean, how do you forget that you've got a hat, right, that you made especially for yourself? But but I stored it away, and then I just forgot about it. And then he asked me about it. I thought, did I ever make? And I went and looked through all my stock. And I thought, blimey, I've got one. And
Yeah.
of course, and it fits him absolutely perfectly, as we've seen when he's been in the car on the show. So I think it's fun, because whenever I make something that's special, like I know what's going to happen with where is the black open road.
Yeah.
This one, I don't know, but it's an 80% beaver in America would probably be $700, $900.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, I'd probably sell that for about 280 to 300 pounds. So what's that? About $350, $400. You know, and you just think, well, it's a nice hat. But you know, it's, if you want, it's so soft, honestly. You know, this, I mean, I really get it with the beaver fur felt, but and I know Morgan has got some fantastic hats in from Hufford and what have you, which are the beaver felt. But you know, I've only got 4 or 5, and you know, they are they're just special. But you know, it's a big investment, I guess. Anyway,
so you guys gonna have to jump on this before Nathan beats you to it. You know, it's like Nathan's got a little bit of a little bit of an edge, but it doesn't mean you can't go over and find out to Paul. And Paul, either he'll probably be able to make you one if Nathan gets and beats you to the punch. Nettie says yes, excellent show. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Well, guys, I mean, you know, Paul, thank you so much for jumping on here. I know it kind of caught you by surprise.
It was.
But you know, it happens, right? That's the whole point of the show, the whole Hat Chat series. I feel like it's a nice time to be able to go out there if you have a viewer, right? That, you know, maybe they feel intimidated, you know, they can reach out, they can come on the show. You know, you don't even have to be a person that has hats. You could just be genuinely curious. We want to hear from you, and we'll go. I have the ability to set up a special episode just for you. And I know we didn't get Kevin on here. Hopefully, Kevin, everything's okay. You know, we'll talk afterwards. And but yeah, thank you guys all for joining me. My 2 faithful moderators, right? Obviously, Nettie, Svanko, Petar, as well as you, Paul, and Josh. Thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully, you guys had a great week. Roger, FYI, today's your last day to be able to go and claim the hat. Tomorrow, I'll choose a new winner. Hopefully, everything's okay. I apologize for the timeline, but I just want to keep this moving. At some point, we're going to have a new hat giveaway for the 200, right? The 200 mark. We're at 117 now. So support the channel, right? Support our channel, support Paul's channel, Brad, Josh, and any other you know, member of the board. Matter of fact, just support any other hatter, regardless of whether they're in the Good Loots Network or not, right? It's one of those things where if you don't support them, you never know. At some point, if enough people don't support that, those things go away. We don't want that. We want more. We don't want less. So this has been Luke and Paul, as well as the rest of the Good Luke's gang. Yeah, Paul, what's Paul's channel? Paul's channel runs Passion for Hats. And if you can't find it, which you should, but if you go onto my homepage on my YouTube homepage, you'll see Paul's channel, Brad's channel, Josh's channel. That way you can see the links to all of them. So, and then we have somebody here saying BCM. I don't know what that means, but you know, I'll have to kind of decode that, or maybe Ian will decode that for me later. But shout out to you, Petar. Hopefully you have a great week. Yeah, no problem. Well, guys, support the channel. And even if you don't, you know what I'm going to say, right? The one thing you have to do, and I won't get anybody after you, that Hat Chat, we won't do that. But the one thing you got to do is non-negotiable is stay hatting, my friend. Have a great day. Ciao, everybody.